Right, 8 o'clock in the morning, just woke up by the side of the road. I got in here about 4 o'clock this morning, so quick sort of 4.5 hour nap. That's where I stayed. Okay, it's Kombi. Argentina's only 90 kilometres away, so been in Argentina a couple of hours. Horacio's already loading the Asado, getting ready for me. God bless him, I can't wait to see him. My Bolivian time is over, and as I said, on a post last night, I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far as which direction, but I think, driving north again with this car is nerve-wracking. For me, one of the hardest parts of this trip, on a sort of mechanical basis, or just altitude, was Bolivia. I still want to go and see Peru, but I'm not too sure if I'm gonna, if I have the capacity or the willingness to take the car back through fucking Bolivia. It was intense.
Come into my life, I got so much left to show you. Come into my life, oh, I adore you. Come into my life, I got so much left to show you. Come into my life, oh, I adore you.
First overheat for the day.
Okay, I'm 80 kilometers to the border. This whole area, when I came into Bolivia, it was dark, so I didn't see anything. It's fucking amazing. It's like northern Argentina. So it's sort of like the sort of foreplay before I get involved in Argentina, which I can't wait for, so to speak. In case my girlfriend's watching, I'm not getting involved in anything like that. I'm down about 3,000 meters now, so the car is obviously performing a lot better. I think, operating at 4,000, 4,500 meters is outside of the sort of optimum performance range of a car. The technology of this car is from the 1930s. So, on that rationale, I think it's done pretty good, because that makes an 80-year-old technology with a 48-year-old car and a 50-year-old driver. I haven't had a shower in 3 days. This is the reality of my van life. Most people have got a more, they've got a slightly more modern setup than me. I've got a mattress on the floor. The not showering thing is sometimes difficult. Now it's getting warm. The good thing is my shower is a watering can. So, like what happened in Patagonia and stuff, I showered in the river in Patagonia. That was pretty refreshing at 3 degrees. But sometimes I stand out in the street, like I did in San Rafael. Stood out in the street with a watering can while the locals watched, thinking, fuck, that gringo must be really poor. He has to wash in the street. Oh, shit.
Almost there. Tell you one thing I won't miss about Bolivia is the drivers. These got to be the worst drivers I've seen in South America and Latin America so far. It's like there's no rules on the road. And Marcos was saying, there's no driving test here. You don't need a license. You just fucking get a car and they give you a license. So that sort of explains it, but I won't miss them at all. I'm thankful I haven't had an accident, put it that way. Okay, this is it. I'm about 8 kilometers to the border. I've just had my second overheat. Fucking hell. I've still got 300 kilometers to get to Mauricio's. And I should make it to Mauricio's, and I'm not too sure why the car's running so hot, but it is running hot. I haven't turned up the carburetor or anything like that, so maybe the valves have been readjusting. This is it. I'm in Argentina. Woo! Another day, another border. I can't believe I'm back here. I'm so happy. It still feels like I'm on the border. Kombi as well. Another orange Kombi first. The Kombi's getting scanned. There's nothing in the car that's untoward. So, obviously standard procedure, but fuck, it's good to be back in Argentina where you just go into a petrol station, the EPF, and they put petrol in the car. You don't have to walk around with a jerry can, you have to negotiate. Oh man, Argentina, I love you.
What price must I pay to hold the key to my life? Hold the key to my life. Hold the key to my life. What price must I pay? You never let go of life.
400 kilometers to go to get to Salta. I might break it up, we'll see what happens. I mean, the car is not running great. I'm still at 3,500 meters. The thing is, that altitude didn't really take effect when I crossed the Andes at 5,000 meters. So, you know, the car needs some work. I just need to get to Salta. From Salta then it's 1,000 kilometers to Horry's. I mean, Horry's take the engine out if I need to, but I'm sure he'll find out exactly what the problem is. The last fucking 850 kilometers were difficult to say the least. Once I get to Salta, sigh of relief, because Mauricio was Horacio's apprentice. That's how they know each other so well, and that's why I know that Mauricio has learned from the best Kombi mechanic in the whole country. From Tupiza to the border, which is only 90 kilometers, I overheated 3 times. I've just put some decent fuel in the car, but obviously I've got the old shit from Bolivia in there. Bolivian fuel is dirty, it's like fucking dishwater. I mean, the irony is that now that I'm in Argentina, if something should happen to go fucking terribly wrong, like, I don't even want to jinx myself by saying if I blew an engine. But now, given the fact I know Mauricio, he's only 400 kilometers away, and Horry, which, you know, is obviously 1,200 kilometers away, then I wouldn't be worried, because I'm like, okay, right, if the engine blew, I know exactly who to go to, bang, and it'd be done. Obviously, having said that, that's not what I want to happen in Argentina. I fucking love this country. Everything is easier in Argentina. You know, I mean, Bolivia, you know, Bolivia is difficult traveling. It's very unique. The irony is that Marcos is half Argentinian. But he's Bolivian, but he's half Argentinian. So he's got a lot of that sort of Argentinianness about him. One of the things that's really noticeable is the absence of litter. I mean, Argentinians look after their country, generally speaking. It's a clean country. There's no fucking rubbish flying around. 20 kilometers back that way, there's fucking rubbish everywhere. It always makes me think, how can people who live side by side, and literally there's just a fence that goes between the countries, not share the same perspective on things like their country, on the environmental aspect? Bolivia is 50 or 60 or 70 years behind Argentina, at least. Just in the way that people think. Well, the exception, obviously, Marcos doesn't think like that. Marcos and his wife are incredibly well educated, and they understand a different perspective of life. But the general population of Bolivia, they're living in the fucking dark ages, some of them. And a lot of that's got to do with education, of course. And the education system, Marcos said, hasn't changed in fucking 50 years. It's a sad thing with some of these countries that the people who run them, and I noticed this in Africa when I was living in East Africa many years ago, 1998 and stuff, is that the people who run the countries keep the population dumb so they don't ask for change. Because if people just focus on mere subsistence and survival, their concerns are so far removed from the more sort of, I don't want to say global aspects, but the more sort of national aspects. As soon as you cross the border, obviously after the car was scanned, that was first. I mean, I think it's standard procedure. Having said that, if I was going to be the person who was going to transport drugs and fucking guns and God knows what else, or explosives, I wouldn't do it in a Kombi, because a Kombi is a magnet for the police anyway. And a Kombi with someone with long hair and hippie bands, you know, the only saving grace is I've got my faith. And that obviously means that the police, they normally give me, they don't bother me, because they, you know, there's a certain amount of respect here for people of faith, people of faith. So I've got 350 kilometers to run. I'm going to go all the way. I just want to get to Salta. When the car was rebuilt originally by Horry a few months ago, you know, there was absolutely no qualms about getting up the Andes. I mean, that was fucking steep as hell. You know, it's first gear for a long time. Car never overheated once, not once. So I'm sure whatever the problem is, it can be rectified. And I know that between Horry and Mori, I'm in great hands, you know. I feel at home in Argentina. 2 countries I feel at home in. Not Australia, not England, Mexico and Argentina are the 2 countries I actually feel they are the countries that I belong in. I know that when my son is 18, and I obviously pray to God that I get to spend the coming years with him until that time comes, But when he gets his autonomy clearly and his passport back from his overbearing, controlling mother and my daughter, then they'll have obviously a lot more flexibility and autonomy. But when he's 18 and Molly, well, he's 18, obviously Molly will be 19, I'm moving to Mexico. And if Argentina was to become politically better, which I doubt, but if it was, I'd probably move to Argentina. But I would definitely love to go and live in Mexico on the beach and set up an overlanding hostel. If I had a hostel, like an overlanders sort of hostel like Marcos, man, I'd love that. I mean, Marcos is the best proprietor of a hostel I've ever met. And I've been in loads of hostels, loads of campsites, and Marcos is by far the greatest operator. Not only the operator, we started as an operator for me, then a mechanic, and then became like a Bolivian brother to me. And these are the experiences that I love when I travel. I spend either I'm either on my own or I'm with the people in the countries, and that means I think that gives me more of an understanding of the countries. Oh, please check. This town that I've just crossed after La Cueca, and everything's so ordered. The fucking cars stay in the lanes, and you don't have to, worry about someone crashing into you. One of the biggest problems in La Paz is clearly, obviously in Bolivia, like a lot of Latin American countries, people don't own cars because a car is a very expensive item. But in La Paz, the streets are choked, and I mean asphyxiated, with minivans that are the taxi services. But it's hard to surmise the fucking chaos in La Paz because the people, the minivans just pull over wherever someone waves their hand. And there is not hundreds, there is thousands of them. I mean, it was the first time in years I'd actually was craving some sort of order on the roads. Normally I would be happy not to see police, giving people, telling people where to go or enforcing regulations. But I mean, in La Paz was something else. Northern Argentina is one of the most beautiful places in the world, without any doubt. I mean, it's stunning out there. The most magnificent rock structures and geological formations and mineral layers. It's mind blowing. I mean, it's really fantastic. The colours, the reds and then the sort of green copper belts, and it's really spectacular. Highly recommend anyone coming to Argentina, get up north. North is by far the most beautiful. Well, I think the extremities of Argentina, for me, that are going the extremities and also up north, absolutely stunning. Well, it's about 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like 90 kilometers from Salta. So Salta, from the border to Salta is 400 kilometers. So today I've done 500, so it's been a pretty big couple of days. First of all, I've got clean fuel. I'm also now down at about 1,500 meters, which is 3 kilometers less than where I was yesterday. It's great to be back in Argentina. I'm just so relieved. I mean, there's roads, and on the roads there's lines, and people stay in the fucking lanes. I mean, it's like a different world. I mean, and I'm not here to badmouth Bolivians because that's not what I'm about. I take every country I go to on its face value, and I pass no judgment because, as a traveller, not as a tourist, as a traveller, I'm there to not have any preconceived, judgments, and take every country on its own merits. Having said that, clearly some countries I find more appealing than others. For example, I don't eat dog. Now that's not to say that I would pass judgment on a country that eats dog because I eat beef. On that rationale, it would somebody go to North Korea, Korea or any other sort of country where they eat sort of animals that I might consider a pet. But that's a concept for me of travelling, is to do everything on a face value and take every country on its own merits and leave my judgments or my preconceived ideas of what I believe is good for me